Hello and welcome back. I'm going to talk to you today about how to prepare for a through hike. Now this can apply to an overnight hike or a shorter hike, but since it takes more planning to do a through hike than it does a shorter hike, I'm going to give you some of the things that I learned about how to prepare for a through hike. I decided to do the Pacific Crest Trail about 3 years before I actually started. And the reason why is because I was still working and there's no way I could get off for 5 to 6 months. Now, there's no way that it takes 3 years to prepare for a through hike, but I was still working, as I said, and I knew that I was going to retire in about 3 years. And so I had to wait till I retired in order to start my journey. But in those 3 years, I did a lot of preparation, a lot of practice hikes, and read a lot of books, looked at a lot of YouTube, which I'm going to be talking about in just a minute. But I feel like that preparation for a through hike is very vital to your success. The first thing you need to do is to prepare for some dumb questions. I'll never forget when I decided to go, and then when I applied for the PCT permit, when I started telling people what I was going to do, I could almost script the reaction from every person that I told. Hey, I just want to let you know, in April, I am going to do the Pacific Crest Trail. Oh, great, that's wonderful. The Pacific Coast Trail, where is that? No, it's the Pacific Crest Trail. It's a trail that runs from the border of California and Mexico, right on the Mexican border there. And it goes all the way through Oregon and through Washington State and ends at the Canadian border. And that's when I got the first of the dumb stares. How many miles is this Pacific Coast Trail? It's 2,653.1 miles. Dumb stare number 2. Whoa. How long is it going to take you? Probably about 5 to 6 months. Then, dumb stare number 3. You can almost hear the cogs in their mind just going 90 miles an hour. And then the barrage of questions come. Are you going to bring a gun? What are you going to eat? You going to have to carry all your food with you? Are you going to be able to get a motel room every night? Where do you go to the bathroom? Why do you want to do something like that? Can't you just camp out in your backyard for a couple of days? And then the best question of all. Are you nuts? Those are just a few of the dumb questions that you're going to be asked. So be prepared for it. Next, prepare yourself physically. In other words, get in good shape before you even attempt to do a long distance hike. When I started my PCT hike, I started with a overweight, very out of shape person. And they made this statement. I know I'm out of shape, but by about the 10th or 20th mile, I'll get in shape. I never saw them again after that first day. And as far as I know, they probably quit before they even got started. Saying that you're going to get in shape while hiking on a long distance through hike is like a boxer saying he's going to get in shape by round 3. I got some news for you. He's going to get knocked out in round 1. I went to the gym about 4 or 5 times a week and worked on cardio and weights. Now it's obvious why I worked on cardio, but the reason why I worked on weights is I wanted to make sure that my upper body was in as good a shape as my legs and heart and lungs. Just a side note, in my morning routine when I was out on trail, the last thing that I would do is I would do 10 push-ups and also do 10 sit-ups before I left to hike. You see, hikers develop what's called a T-Rex syndrome. You know what the T-Rex is, that dinosaur? If you look at a T-Rex, he's got humongous thighs and legs, but he's got these wee little arms. And that's what happens to us hikers. We spend most of our time giving our legs a real good workout, but we neglect our upper body, and so therefore it gets weak and is prone to injury and mishaps. Next, prepare for a through hike by reading as many hiking books as you can and books about the trail, and also watch as many YouTube videos that you can. I know some people say, well, I just don't want to spoil the intrigue that it has for me. I want it to be all new when I go out on the trail. I had seen pictures and videos of Crater Lake, tons of them, but there's something about being there in person and seeing it yourself that just really does not compare. I had seen the northern terminus and the border between the United States and Canada on many hikers' videos. But when I reached the northern terminus, it was not anticlimactic to me. In fact, when I reached the northern terminus, I wept like a baby. Seeing the trail on a YouTube video did not ruin the experience of being there in person whatsoever. So watch as many YouTube videos as you can from people who completed the whole trail from Campo to the Canadian border. Which leads me to say, next, get your gear all dialed in. REI has a tremendous return policy, so you can purchase a backpack and try it out for, a few times. And if it doesn't work for you, then return it. Another thing, prepare by taking practice hikes and practice backpacking trips. The best way to prepare for a long distance hike is just a hike. But to test your equipment out, go on some overnight hikes, and then when that becomes comfortable, go on like a 2-day hike, and then move it up to a 3-day hike, and then eventually try to get to like a 5-day overnight hike. I started off from Campo with this one guy who had never slept one time in his tent. In fact, he had never taken it out of the stuff sack until we left in that first night at Hauser Creek. He literally did not know how to set his tent up. So get familiar with your gear before you even attempt or even start a through hike. Man, the one thing that I hate it more than anything is surprises. I don't like to be surprised. And I'm sure you don't want to be surprised by not knowing your equipment in the middle of a through hike. Hey, that includes clothes as well and your layering system. Test your layering system out in inclement weather, cold, rain, because I guarantee you're going to face that when you get out on a long distance hike. I know I did on the Pacific Crest Trail. Next, make sure that you secure the permits needed to hike the specific long distance trail that you're going to be hiking. Now, every long distance trail has their own system and their own procedure on securing permits. Some don't even require permits, but make sure that you get your permits taken care of so that you'll be able to get on trail and not get kicked off of it. I only had my permit checked by a ranger one time, and it was in the Sierra, but at the time I sure am glad I had one. Another thing along the line of preparing for a through hike, join as many of the Facebook groups, different groups that pertain to the long distance trail that you're going to be hiking. That way you can ask questions from the community and get some advice about gear and conditions of the trail and what to do and what not to do. Next, prepare your resupply strategy. There was a website that I found invaluable when working on my resupply strategy, and that was Craig's PCT Planner. Guthook's app is another source that you can get that will help you with resupply. And again, you can download whatever long distance trail that you're planning on going on and check out the trail towns and what they have to offer. Next, decide on what gear that you're going to bring and what you're going to leave at home. Now, you can always ship stuff back that you are not using, or you could get someone to send stuff to you while you're on trail at a trail town, and when you stop at a trail town, or there's some trail towns that have some pretty good outfitters and you can go in there and pick up some equipment there. But at least you can start the trail with tried and true equipment that you've already checked out when you start your long distance hike. Here's a good one. Make sure all your bills are on auto pay, because you definitely don't want to get any late notices or bounce checks or whatever while you're in the middle of the Poseidon wilderness in northern Washington. Unless you have somebody to pay your bills, or you don't have any bills, which is probably highly unusual, you're going to have to make sure that your bills get paid while you're away. And then last, finalize your travel arrangements to the trailhead, and also kind of figure out in your mind how you're going to get back home. When I did the PCT, I had no earthly idea how I was going to get back home, or what airport I was going to fly out of and what airport I was going to fly into. But I figured I had 5 to 6 months to figure it all out. And by the way, I did, or I wouldn't be here right now. Well, I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, then perhaps maybe you can leave it down in the comments section below. If you've taken a long distance through hike, please leave some ideas that perhaps maybe I left out down in the comments section. I hope this video has been a help to you. I only meant it to be a help because I receive so much help from watching YouTube videos and preparing for my through hike at the Pacific Crest Trail. And if this video has helped you, please leave me a thumbs up, and perhaps maybe share this video, and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. So until then, I'll see you down the trail. What? The Pacific Coast Trail? What if a bear eats you up?